Welcome to CivilNet. My guest today is Ralph Yirikian, who is the CEO of VivaCell, the second mobile company in Armenia chronologically, but the first in terms of coverage, customers, and I would even say loyalty, but we'll get to that in a minute. Ralph, thank you for giving us the time. I want to talk about some of the business parts of the operation, but basically about all of the rest of the culture, the customer relations, the loyalty factor, all of those things that we don't often talk about when we talk about business in Armenia. And let me say that we've just come off of a 1-hour talk that you gave to our staff, and the topics that you covered, not the selection of them, but the transparency, I think is part of what makes you and your operation different. And tell me if I'm wrong, that in Armenia, the concept of corporate social responsibility, it's still pretty much synonymous with VivaCell. There are a couple of other big companies that are trying, but pretty much the introduction of that culture came with VivaCell. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, it's right. We're pioneers in that domain. Yeah, we were the first to introduce it. Not the first as per se, because there were some attempts, low level, uncovered or hidden or shy, but we were the first to launch it full-fledged in so many directions, to talk about it, to announce it, to make even PR events out of it, having multiple purposes behind it. One of the main reasons was to force other companies to feel jealous in a good way, to follow the same step, because the end result is that the whole community will benefit from that. And at the same time, to be able to teach our staff that this is the right way of the modern business practice. It's not only that you have to take care of the shareholders' requirements and your subscribers, but it's a chain connected to each other. All the stakeholders are important to a company, including the community, the people, the public, specifically the subscribers who are using the services and generating an income to you as a company. You have to thank them, you have to return back of that income which you've received from them, and from there to generalize all over the community, all over the country, to create a kind of a change in the way of thinking, in the way of practicing a business, in the way of trying to drag other inexperienced businesses in corporate social responsibility to join this highway, which together will lead towards a better tomorrow. It's investing in a better tomorrow.
But you know, you're saying what other companies in the West and elsewhere say, sometimes do, sometimes don't do, sometimes just say, yet everything you're saying goes against the post-Soviet grain, where sectors are quite independent of each other, not dependent on each other, not codependent. You know, there's the commercial sector, they work, they make their money.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that was the way, and it still exists in so many sectors in the economy. But we have to be realistic, we have to face the reality. If we want to change, we need to introduce the change. We cannot remain in the past. We have to create today and to build up for tomorrow, and this is what we're doing.
I'm going to ask you a question that I don't know how I would answer myself if somebody asked me about Civilitas and CivilNet. And that is that it's one thing when you're the boss and you say, this is the culture that we need to have, and you open the doors in that direction. It's another thing when 2 years, 3 years down the line, you look back and you go, aha, it really did take root. Are you at that point? Do you say, aha, it really did take root?
Yes, that's very true. And you know, at the start, when you try to put the basis for some sort of a practice or a work approach, deep inside, you might be a bit hesitant. Will it work or will it fail? Of course, it requires lots of efforts from you and from the management team who are with you to be able to support an idea or to push some sort of practice or a group of practices. And you need to keep close monitoring on the results if they're not as expected, to try to introduce some refinement to improve the process on the go. And down the road, across the years, when you start feeling the results and you start seeing the achievements and you start seeing the evolution per se, it makes you feel happy, it makes you feel proud, and it makes you say that I was right. And of course, you cannot do it alone. You have to do it with the team. And when I say the team, it means the whole staff, because you need to make the staff feel that they are valued, they are respected, they have their place, and there is equality, there is fairness, there is justness, and you are a simple human being. I'm even a more simple human being. It's not the position, it's the person per se that respects the other person, and together work in a teamwork towards achieving certain goals of the operation.
Your majority shareholders, when the company first started in Armenia, were Lebanese. Today they're Russians. It's a Russian company now, it was a Lebanese company.
80% Russian, 20% still Lebanese.
Is there a difference in the culture when you transferred from the one to the other?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, we're talking about two different schools. The Lebanese one is Middle Eastern with a little bit of Western mentality. And when I say more Western, I mean Western Europe and North America. And the Russian is a different way, different school. It's the the pre-Soviet or during the Soviet, the Russian, the Eastern European. The challenge was to marry both schools and to get the experience and the benefit to the operation as much as possible from both schools, and at the same time to blend those with the management approach or the management culture that we wanted to introduce from day one, and which we continued despite the changes that took place on the shareholders level. And I consider that a rich mix, which created richness in helping and supporting a better evolved change in the way we practice management, in the way we do business in the economy.
As a consumer, I never felt the difference. I never felt the transition. I didn't feel the results of the internal conflicts. I am your customer. Yeah. The service remained the same.
I'm thankful for that.
I am too. Yeah. Service remained the same. Your visibility as supporters, partners in new sorts of cultural and other endeavors remained the same. Did that come at great cost to you?
It has some cost, of course. Nothing comes easy. Everything has a cost, and there should be certain sacrifices made. But the main important point is a consumer should not feel it. Everything should continue as is or smooth on the consumer side. Internal issues should be resolved internally. A micro example could be a person's own family. If you have an issue with your children or if you have an issue with your spouse, this should remain within the family. If it gets out, it will create confusion in your circle of acquaintance, friends, relatives, and it will become a big headache to you. The same applies for a business. Any issue or any problems or troubles or difficulties should be resolved in a quiet manner on a professional basis internally without causing any impact to the external world, and at the same time continue the process of refinement and improvement. And it was a difficult time between end of 2007 till the beginning of 2009 when we were integrating into the MTS group.
And the world fell apart.
And at the same time it was the economic crisis. It was very tough, very difficult, but we made sure to ensure that our customers, our subscribers do not feel anything.
VivaCell is one of the biggest companies in Armenia and very visible, not just because of the nature of the offering, but also because of your advertising and PR strategy. Is there in your business a loyalty index? Is it possible? Do you know, can you say our customers are loyal and ascribe it perhaps not just to the customer service, but also the social responsibility aspect? We
see that, we feel that, and we love our customers for that. I mean, I cannot imagine what can we do without them. They've been with us through the good times and even through the hard times, through the difficult times. You know, a network always undergoes upgrades and changes, and when a network, a huge network or a large network on the scale of Armenia like ours undergoes a change, it means on the end user side lots of difficulties when using the services. Despite that, they remained loyal. they love us and we love them as well. I mean, it's mutual, and we see that our subscriber base never decreased. Our subscriber base is stable, and recently we have even noticed an increase in the quantity of subscribers, in the level of usage, despite also the entrance several years ago of a third player into the market. We did not lose subscriber base, and this is a very solid and profound and good example of subscriber loyalty.
If we say that visibility, both commercial as well as social, is part of the formula, transparency too is very interesting in the way in which you have presented your company. Is that contagious? Do you see a pattern?
Yes, we see a pattern in the sector, in the wireless telecommunication sector, and we started also feeling that it has also passed to the fixed telecommunication sector because also competition started there. We see a little bit on a lower level, of course, in other few sectors, but I'm positive and I'm confident that this will spread. It's a good contagious practice, if I could say, and it is spreading. We need to be a little bit patient, and definitely we will be witnessing such kind of a evolution towards transparency in the future. This, of course, will not happen in a few months. It will take several years, but on a time scale of witnessing an evolution of an economy, a very young economy, which is 21 or 20 years old, being patient for an additional few years, it's nothing compared to huge economies which took them so many hundreds of years to become where they are today.
Last question. I suppose I can't not ask it, so I'm going to ask it. You're a diasporan, you're a repat. Does that work to your advantage or disadvantage?
It's both ways. It depends on the situations. I'm very proud to be a diasporan. That's as a start. My birthplace is Beirut. My ancestors are from Adana, Cilicia, ancient Cilicia, if I could say. I'm even prouder to having the opportunity to live here, to raise my children here, though they were born as well in Beirut. Whenever there's a need, I use the wing of diaspora. And whenever there's a need, I use the wing of being in the homeland. And again, I will bring back the example or the phrase which I have used, the rich mix. It's a rich mix to use the diaspora and the ironic or the homeland, mix the knowledge, the know-how, the experience, and to put them all together to serve our current homeland and to try to make a better tomorrow.
Amen.
Amen to that. Yes.
Absolutely, amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph Yirikian. We've been speaking with Ralph Yirikian, who is the CEO of VivaCell, which is the largest mobile telephone company in Armenia, and also the pioneer of the concept of corporate social responsibility in a post-Soviet space that sometimes finds that difficult to assimilate. But it's been a great conversation. Thank you for following us on CivilNet.